Go.
Okay, Mary, so what brings you in?
I'm just feeling very depressed and overwhelmed. And I feel like I can't keep my head above water.
Do you want to explain those feelings a little more?
Well, I lost my job, and ever since then, I've just been struggling financially. I'm having trouble paying my bills. I feel like I'm disappointing my family. I've been applying to other jobs, but I haven't heard anything back. I'm not making as much money as I used to. Currently I'm working a part-time job. I got the job through my friend, so I really appreciate that they're trying to help me. But I don't really like it. I'm not making as much money as I used to. So right now we're living paycheck to paycheck. And I'm worried I'm disappointing my kids because I can't get them things that I used to. And I feel like I'm not, doing everything that I can.
It sounds like you're going through a tough time. It sounds like a big change. So do you want to tell me a little more about you losing your job?
2 months ago they were going through some, financial issues, and they had to downsize and cut departments, and my department was one of the ones cut. I think if I would have done a better job, they probably would have kept me. So I don't know, it's just, I feel like I wasn't doing good enough.
You weren't doing a good enough job? Good enough for who?
For my company, and now I feel like I'm not doing good enough for my kids.
Do you want to elaborate on that a little more?
I'm just used to providing for my children. Even after my divorce, I could get them anything they wanted, and now I feel like I'm disappointing them because I can't get them all the toys and stuff that I used to get them before.
So, from all that you're saying, I'm beginning to notice kind of a theme here. You're saying that you're not good enough and that you're not adequate. So, in using cognitive behavioral therapy, it's based on your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, and how they're all intertwined. In CBT, we work to recognize some irrational thoughts and some unhealthy behaviors, and so we can change them and get a more positive outlook on how you're feeling and what you're doing. We're going to focus on some of the thoughts that you're having, and we're going to work to change them a little bit so that you can have a more positive outlook on things, hopefully. So all the things that you're feeling, do you want to maybe write some of these down?
Sure.
Okay. So you've got a little list there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you care to share some of these with me?
Sure. I wrote, I wasn't good enough for my job. That's why I lost it. And I mustn't be good enough for other jobs because I keep applying and I'm not getting anything. I think that I'm a bad mom because I can't get my kids the things they want. And I'm starting to fear that if I'm not making more money, my husband's going to try and take full custody of the kids.
So when you've written those things and now again in saying them, how do they make you feel?
Sad and depressed and kind of helpless.
Understandably so. These thoughts and feelings are the negative consequences that you're having about yourself since you've lost your job. So in delving into these further, do you want to explain maybe how losing your job might make you a bad mom?
I'm just so used to providing for my kids and giving them everything they want that I think now that I'm just disappointing them because I can't do all the stuff for them that I used to. I could before I lost my job, and like I said, even after the divorce. So I can't do it anymore. Financially, I can't provide for them the way I'd like to.
So, did your kids say to you that they think you're a bad mom, or that they're disappointed in you at all?
Well, we were at Walmart yesterday, and they wanted a new toy, and for the first time I had to tell them no. I've never told them they couldn't have something before, and they cried, so I know that they were upset.
Well, even though that sounds like a big change for you, you're thinking that your children love you based on the fact that you can buy them what they want?
No, but they cried, so I take that as disappointment.
Well, I'm sure no one wants to intentionally make their kids cry, but are you saying every time your kids cry that you're disappointing them?
I guess not. Kids cry all the time.
Kids cry all the time.
Yeah, I guess.
So, who's saying then that you're a bad mom?
No one said that, I guess.
And would you say maybe that we could consider this one of your irrational thoughts that you're having?
Yeah, I guess, because just because I can't buy them things doesn't mean I'm a bad mom, and just because they cry doesn't mean I'm a bad mom either.
That's right. So do you want to discuss any of the other thoughts that you've written down?
Sure. I wasn't good enough at my job, that's why I lost it.
So, you told me a little bit before, but why don't you tell me again what was happening when you lost your job?
The company just was having some financial issues and they had to downsize, and they cut my department, but I think if I would have been doing a better job, they probably would have let me stay on somewhere else.
So despite everything that was going on there, you believe you got fired for poor performance?
I guess.
Did anyone approach you or say anything like that to you?
No. They never said that. I just kind of assumed that's why.
So no one said to you that you weren't doing a good enough job?
No, they didn't.
So do you think maybe that's another thought that you're having that might be irrational?
I could see that, yeah.
Okay, so at least you're beginning to recognize some of these irrational thoughts. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm noticing some other things happening too. You may have a fear that your children's love for you is based on the fact that you have a career that allows you to spoil them and that you're not good enough. So, not good enough for who?
I guess myself. I've always wanted to just have a good job and be able to provide for my family, and I feel like I'm failing. I don't know what to do.
Is there any other time in your life that you felt this way, that you were failing?
I think the only time I felt like this was after my divorce. I felt like I was failing, and kind of similar feelings. I feel like I couldn't do anything and I just wasn't good enough.
Would you say that you're afraid of failure, or that you're having trouble accepting yourself maybe because you believe you're failing?
I don't know. I just kind of attribute the loss of my job and, this disappointment of my kids to myself. And I've just set high standards for myself. And when I can't do the things that I'm hoping to do, I kind of feel just disappointed in myself, and I can't really accept the fact that it didn't happen the way I wanted it to.
Well, that sounds difficult, and it's good to have standards for yourself, but instead of saying that you're failing, do you think there's anything you could say to turn the situation around?
I guess that I'm not giving up. I took on a part-time job with my friends. I have a good family that's healthy. Even though I'm not hearing back from these other companies where I've applied to, I keep sending in my resumes and hoping I'll get a call.
Well, that's a little more positive.
Yeah.
Do you feel any better after saying those things?
I do. It doesn't sound as bad.
Doesn't sound as bad. So after listing these and talking a little bit about this, now that you're aware of some of these irrational thoughts that you're having, what are some things you could do next time that you're feeling a negative way, when you feel yourself thinking all of these negative things?
I guess kind of just what I did there, and try to look more at the positive things that are happening, and focus more on, my children and the fact that everybody's happy and healthy.
It's a good idea. So now that we're approaching some of our last few minutes together, I think a relaxation technique might be useful for you when you're feeling bombarded by all of the negative thoughts that you've listed here and explained to me. Do you think that's something you'd want to try?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it'll help to relieve some of your negativity. So what we're going to do, we're just going to close our eyes and take a 4 count of breath in and exhale it. So. Okay. So when you're doing that, you could do that once or a couple times if you felt relieved at all. Did that do anything for you?
Yeah, it does. It makes me feel better.
Okay, well that's something small, I think, that you could incorporate into your day. And do you think there's anything else you could do throughout the week? I mean, that might be a little tip that may be worthwhile, but is there anything else useful that we talked about today?
I guess what we talked about, kind of turning things around to look more positive. So whenever something bad's happening, I can just look at the good things that are happening instead.
I think that's a good idea. So thank you.
Thank you.